The Russian president has said that his forces will not use nukes to strike first. Any weapons of mass destruction will only be used to defend the country, is what he said while addressing members of his Human Rights Council. We haven't gone mad, is what the Russian President Vladimir Putin said when talking about the use of nuclear weapons. Putin, however, has warned of the rising nuclear tensions, and these comments are extremely significant, as in the last 9 months of the war in Ukraine, Russia has time and again said that nothing is off the table. And this, of course, has long prompted concerns of a potential nuclear war. Now, Putin's remarks may provide some clarity on Russia's stand with regard to the use of nukes.
We haven't gone mad. We understand what nuclear weapons are. We have these means, and they are more advanced and modern than in any other nuclear country. This is obvious today, it's a fact. But we are not going to swing it like a razor running around the world. But of course, we proceed from the fact that we have got it.
The United States has slammed Putin's remark, saying that any loose talk of nuclear weapons is absolutely irresponsible. Meanwhile, the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has also issued a statement saying that the risk of Moscow using nuclear weapons has in fact decreased in response to international pressure. Now, with his remarks, Putin seems to be, of course, committing to a possible no-first-use policy. The policy refrains countries from using nuclear weapons. However, it does not mean a complete ban. The countries are permitted to use nukes in order to defend themselves. China and India are currently the only two nuclear powers to have unconditionally committed to this policy. Additionally, Russia's existing nuclear policy also restricts it from using nukes first in the battle. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what the Russian president actually was trying to say, we are being joined in by Peter Zalmayek, who's the director of the Eurasia Democracy Initiative, and is joining us live on this broadcast. Mr. Zalmayek, these are very significant words by the Russian president in the context of what is happening in Ukraine. He has said that Russia will not use nukes first. What do you read into this?
Well, first of all, yes, obviously he's once again nuclear saber rattling. Once again, we are seeing that Russia is having a very hard time in the battlefields of Ukraine, is having to retreat time and time again. And Vladimir Putin is, doubling up on his strategy of terrorizing civilians by hitting our infrastructure with constant shellings of our territory, trying to knock out our electrical system. But at the same time, he has not given up on nuclear blackmail of the entire world. What we're hearing, what I'm hearing from Putin is rather, is not reassuring at all. I mean, when he says that a Russian nuclear doctrine dictates that it be used only in defense of Russia's territory, well, first of all, if you consider that Russia has annexed illegally part of the territory of Ukraine, does that mean that any war to reclaim that territory will invite Russia's nuclear response? He leaves this ambiguous for a purpose. Also, I'm not reassured by his statement in general that we're fighting only in defense, because keep in mind, the war of aggression against Ukraine, was actually, prosecuted and announced based on this preposterous claim that this was in defense of Russia, that Putin preempted Ukraine's strike against Russia, similar to what Adolf Hitler did when starting World War II, when he announced that Poland attacked a radio station, owned by Germans.
All right. Now, I also want you to comment a bit on what's been happening over the course of the last, 48, 72 hours, where there have been strikes that have taken place on Russian air bases deep inside Russian territory. This is a serious escalation by the looks of it. Do you think Ukraine is now taking the battle virtually to the doors of Russia and deep inside of Russia?
Well, this was a very, very important, symbolically, I think, move by Ukrainians. And let me just say, Ukraine does not take official credit for it, even though now Western intelligence says that it was, in fact, strikes by unmanned flying objects operated out of Ukraine. And if so, considering that it happened 300 and 450 kilometers deep inside Russia's territory, I would compare the impact of the psychological, first of all, military. We have to determine, we don't have the exact details of what happened, how many fighter planes were destroyed, but this could be comparable to the sinking of the Moskva battleship early in the war back in April. This shows that, you reap what you sow. If Russia went in expecting to prosecute its illegal war against Ukraine on its territory, well, it has a very unpleasant surprise. Now it's going to have to deal with attacks on its own territory.
Absolutely indeed. And for several weeks now, we've been talking about how Russia's been trying to weaponize winter. And now that snow has started to fall in Ukraine, give us a sense of how bad things actually are within Ukraine. You're joining us live from Kiev. Tell us about the situation in Kiev. How many people within Ukraine at this moment actually have guaranteed, reliable access to power, gas and water?
Well, other than critical facilities, critical infrastructure facilities, hospitals, government buildings, no one has guaranteed, access to power. Like my power went on like literally half hour before I went on air with you. It goes out periodically. Some have it better than others. It has bred some resentment among, let's say, residents of Kiev because they see some buildings stay lit all the time, some don't. So the government is now making efforts to make this, to distribute more evenly blackouts. We are preparing both mentally and as far as plans go for a complete blackout. There is that eventuality. It's not super likely at this point, but if it happens, some evacuation, partial, or maybe even close to entire city, let's say Kiev, is not out of the realm of the possibility. We haven't dealt with anything like this before, but this is something we're preparing for.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Peter Zalmayek, for joining us and getting us all those insights there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.